The interview was supposed to last 40 minutes. It ended at 25. In 2 decades of broadcast journalism, Savannah Guthrie has never walked away from an interview. She has faced hostile politicians who screamed at her off-camera. She has finished every single conversation she started. Her reputation is built on patience, on the follow-up question that unravels everything, on staying calm when subjects lose control. Until a Tuesday afternoon in Montecito. Until Prince Harry sat across from her in his carefully staged living room and treated every question like a declaration of war. Until Savannah asked the simplest possible thing and watched his face transform into something she had never encountered in her entire career. What he said next made the entire crew freeze. What happened after made Savannah Guthrie do something unprecedented. She closed her notebook, looked directly into the camera, and said 5 words that would dominate headlines for weeks. "I think we're done here." This was not surrender. This was recognition that some walls are too high for even the most patient interviewer to climb. Savannah arrived 90 minutes early, as she always did for location shoots. She walked through the space slowly, noting the careful positioning. Family photographs placed just so, books stacked with practiced casualness, soft lighting that would make anyone look approachable. Her producer trailed behind with a tablet. The crew finished setting up, sound checks completed, lighting adjusted. Then Prince Harry entered. He was dressed carefully, but his shoulders were rigid. His jaw was set. His eyes scanned the room like he was mapping escape routes, cataloging threats. When he crossed to shake Savannah's hand, the grip was brief, almost perfunctory, withdrawing before she could establish any real warmth. "Thank you for doing this," Savannah said, her voice carrying genuine warmth. "Your home is beautiful. It serves its purpose. Not thank you, not we love it here, not even a generic pleasantry. Just, it serves its purpose." Savannah filed this away, the first data point in what would become a very short, very strange interview. They settled into their respective chairs. The cameras began rolling. "So Harry," Savannah's voice carried its signature quality. Conversational, unhurried. The kind of tone that usually made even the most guarded subjects relax. "Before we get into anything specific, I just want to check in. How are you?" And I mean that genuinely, not the press release version. Harry's expression did not soften. "I'm well." A pause. "Just well. Is that insufficient?" The response carried a sharpness that seemed disproportionate to the question. 30 seconds in and already a wall. Savannah adjusted her approach instinctively. "Not at all. I'm just curious." Well can mean so many things. Content. Busy. At peace. It means what it means. I'm not sure why we need to parse the semantics of a simple answer. Savannah smiled, absorbing the edge. "Fair enough. Let's talk about what you've been working on." The Archwell Foundation mental health advocacy is a big focus. What's driving that work right now? Harry uncrossed and recrossed his legs, a subtle gesture of discomfort. "We're addressing systemic failures in how society approaches psychological well-being, creating frameworks for change that extend beyond individual intervention." That sounds meaningful. Can you give me an example? Something concrete that's come from that work. The work doesn't reduce to anecdotes. Savannah paused. This was not the usual reluctance of a private person navigating public questions. This felt different. Active resistance rather than passive guardedness. "I'm not asking for anecdotes necessarily," she said carefully. "I'm asking what success looks like for you. How do you measure whether you're making a difference? Impact isn't always measurable in ways that translate easily to television segments. Then help me understand it in ways that do." Harry's eyes met hers directly, and there was something cold in them. Perhaps some things shouldn't need to be simplified for mass consumption. Perhaps not everything is meant for sound bites and morning show segments. The insult was unmistakable. Savannah let it hang in the air for a moment, refusing to react visibly. Cataloging it. "Asking for examples isn't simplifying anything," she replied. "It's how people connect with causes. Stories help viewers see themselves in the work. People who need stories to care don't really care. Real commitment doesn't require entertainment value. Savannah shifted tactics. In her experience, sometimes resistance came from discomfort with specific topics. Maybe Harry would open up if she found different ground. Let me ask you something more personal. You've been in California for several years now. Does it feel like home? When you think of home, what comes to mind? Here is where I live. What is it, home? Emotionally, there's a difference between where you sleep and where you feel you truly belong. Harry's jaw tightened visibly. I belong with my family, my wife, my children. The physical location is secondary to that. That's a beautiful way to put it. Tell me more about that. Being a father here, versus what you might have imagined fatherhood looking like if you'd stayed in England. I'd rather not compare those scenarios. Why not? Because comparison invites judgment from people who don't understand the full context. And judgment from people who lack understanding is worthless to me. Savannah absorbed the second insult as smoothly as the first. Something was becoming clear. Harry had not arrived nervous or protective. He had arrived hostile. The walls were up before the first question. I'm not here to judge you, Harry. I'm here to understand you. Those are very different things. Are they? In my experience, understanding is just judgment with better marketing. People pretend to want to know you so they can categorize you, critique you, fit you into whatever narrative they've already decided on. That's a fairly cynical view of human connection. It's a realistic view, Harry shot back. One you develop after years of watching people pretend to understand while actually gathering ammunition. Savannah set down her pen deliberately. Do you think that's what I'm doing right now? Gathering ammunition. I think that's what everyone in your profession does, whether consciously or not. The delivery varies. The underlying purpose doesn't. A normal interviewer might have pushed back, defended journalism, insisted on personal integrity. Savannah took a different approach. She let silence fill the space between them. 10 seconds passed. 15. 20. Harry shifted uncomfortably in his chair. You're doing the thing journalists do, he said finally, breaking the quiet. The silence trick. Waiting for me to fill the gap and say something I'll regret. I'm not doing a trick, Savannah replied evenly. I'm giving you room to reconsider what you just said, because you essentially called me dishonest to my face on camera. And I wanted to offer you the opportunity to walk that back. I'm not walking anything back. I'm describing my experience. Your experience isn't universal truth, Harry. It's your perception, based on specific encounters. And your perception right now seems to be that everyone who asks you questions is fundamentally an enemy. Not everyone, he said, but enough that caution is warranted. Even with me, right now, in your own home, in an interview that you agreed to do. Harry did not answer. Savannah leaned forward slightly. I want to level with you about something. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've interviewed people in the absolute worst moments of their lives. People who had every reason to be guarded, hostile, afraid. And almost all of them, even when they were struggling, could engage with me as a human being. We're not even 20 minutes into this conversation, and you've implied I'm dumbing things down and hunting for ammunition. I haven't done anything to deserve that treatment. Perhaps not you specifically. Then don't treat me like a category. Treat me like a person sitting across from you, trying to have an honest conversation. That's all I'm asking. Harry's voice was clipped. Let's shift to something else. All right, the Netflix projects. Some were canceled recently, the animated series, some documentary concepts. What happened there? Harry's expression hardened further. Projects shift. That's the nature of the entertainment industry. Things evolve. Shift suggests change of direction. Evolve suggests growth. What actually happened was cancellation. That's a decision made by someone else that things aren't working. Which characterization is more accurate? You're playing semantics. I'm asking for precision. You signed what was reported as a $100 million deal. The output has been limited. That's not judgment, that's observable fact. I'm curious about the explanation. I'm not going to discuss confidential business arrangements on morning television. You discussed your family's financial arrangements quite extensively in your memoir. You revealed what your father provided, you detailed when you were cut off. Those were confidential too. Why is Netflix different? Harry had no immediate response. Savannah watched him struggle for one. Those revelations served a purpose. What purpose? Helping people understand the situation, the pressures, what we were dealing with. And helping people understand what happened with Netflix wouldn't serve a similar purpose? It would serve your purpose. Your show's ratings, your career, not mine. Savannah nodded slowly. So you'll share private information when it makes you sympathetic, but not when it might invite questions about your own choices. That's illuminating. That's a reductive characterization. Then help me see it differently.
I'm genuinely asking.
Harry's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. The Netflix situation involves multiple factors: internal creative differences, external market conditions. Not everything that happens is a simple reflection of failure or success. I didn't use the word failure. I asked what happened. You supplied the defensive framing. Harry exhaled sharply. Let's talk about something else. Savannah shifted smoothly. The Met Gala happened recently. It's one of the biggest fashion events in the world. You and Meghan weren't there this year. I remember speculation last year that you might attend. We weren't invited. The admission came quickly, almost reflexively, and Harry's face showed immediate regret at the directness. Oh, Savannah said. I assumed it was a scheduling conflict. It wasn't. Do you know why you weren't included? I don't speculate about other people's guest lists. But you've speculated extensively about your family's decisions. Who was included in what, who was excluded from meetings, whose calls were returned or ignored. Why is Anna Wintour's guest list different? My family's decisions directly affected my life, my wife's well-being, my children's future. A party invitation is just a party invitation. Savannah sensed she had found tender territory. Still, it must sting at least a little. You and Meghan are fashion-forward, high-profile, exactly the kind of people you'd expect to see at the Met Gala. Being excluded from things you'd seem perfect for, does that bother you? I don't dwell on exclusions. Your book suggests otherwise. A significant portion of it is about exclusions from family events, from decision-making, from the inner circle. Harry's eyes flashed with something close to anger. My book documented systemic mistreatment over years. That's entirely different from social event invitations. Is it though? Both involve being left out. Both involve people in positions of power making decisions about whether you belong. The royal family excluding you from duties, Netflix canceling projects, the Met Gala not inviting you, those feel like a pattern to an outside observer. They're not a pattern. They're separate incidents with completely separate causes. What are the causes? I'm not going to psychoanalyze my entire life for a Today Show segment. I'm not asking you to psychoanalyze. I'm asking what you think connects these experiences. If anything. Harry's voice dropped. Nothing connects them. Sometimes things just happen. Things just happen to you a lot. It seems. The observation landed hard. Harry went very still. Let's talk about Meghan, Savannah said, deliberately shifting the energy. How is she? The transformation in Harry's demeanor was instantaneous, like watching a castle gate slam shut. Every muscle tensed, every wall reinforced. I prefer not to discuss my wife at all. At all? Even though she's your partner in everything you've built? The foundation is joint. The Netflix deal was joint. Your public image is fundamentally coupled. Harry and Meghan is the brand. It's hard to discuss one without the other. Then perhaps we should discuss other things. But you're not really separable, are you? In the public imagination, in your own presentation, you're a unit. Making her off-limits makes half the conversation impossible. Harry's jaw flexed repeatedly. This interview is about me, my work, my perspective. All right then. Tell me about your perspective on the divorce rumors. Harry's face went pale. What? The divorce speculation, the stories about separation, living apart, trouble in the marriage. What's your perspective on those? They're entirely fabricated. Complete lies. Our marriage is strong. Stronger than it's ever been, actually. Savannah kept her expression neutral. I didn't ask if they were true. I asked your perspective on why they exist. They exist because tabloids need content. Because people who've never met us feel entitled to have opinions about our relationship. But I noticed something interesting. I asked how Megan was doing, a simple question about her well-being, and you refused to answer. Then I mentioned divorce rumors, and suddenly you're willing to talk at length. Why is defending against divorce accusations easier than just telling me how she's doing? Harry stared at her like she had revealed a magic trick. That's not. It's an observation. Harry, I asked, how's Megan? You said you wouldn't discuss her. I mentioned divorce, suddenly you're engaging. What does that tell you? It tells me you're trying to trap me. I'm not trapping you. I'm noticing patterns in your responses. That's what conversations are. Two people noticing things about each other. The pattern I'm noticing is that you're more comfortable defending your marriage than simply describing it. Something cracked in Harry's expression. A flash of something vulnerable beneath the defensive armor. I want to be known for my work. Then tell me about your work. I've asked several times, each time you've deflected because the questions feel like traps. They're not traps, they're invitations. What are you working on? Is an invitation. Can you give me an example? Is an invitation. What does success look like? Is an invitation. I've been extending invitations since we started. You've declined every single one. Because in my experience, your experience isn't universal law, Harry. Yes, some journalists are predatory. Yes, some interviews have gone badly for you. But treating every single interaction as if it's going to be the worst-case scenario isn't protection. It's self-imprisonment. Harry flinched visibly at the word. You think I don't know what prison feels like? I think you've escaped one kind and constructed another. The bars are internal now, but they're just as real. Maybe more so. Because you built them yourself. That's amateur psychology. It's observation. I've spent nearly 30 minutes watching you refuse every opportunity for genuine connection. Push back against every attempt at understanding. Interpret kindness as manipulation and curiosity as attack. That's not a free person, Harry. That's someone still trapped. Just in different ways. Harry stood abruptly and walked toward the window, his back to Savannah and the cameras. His reflection in the glass showed an expression of profound exhaustion, the kind that goes deeper than physical tiredness. You don't understand what it's been like. Then help me understand. That's literally why I'm here. No one can truly understand. They can sympathize from a comfortable distance, but they can't actually know. You're right, Savannah said softly. I can't know what it feels like to be Prince Harry. I've never lost a mother in such a public way. I've never had my relationships scrutinized by the global press. I've never had to navigate being royal and not royal simultaneously. But I can listen to you describe it. I can try to connect your experience to things I do understand. Pressure, loss, the struggle to define yourself apart from how others see you. That's all empathy is, trying to bridge the gap between your reality and mine. But you have to help build from your side. I can't cross a bridge alone. Harry remained at the window, his shoulders tense. I'm so tired of building bridges that people set on fire. I'm not going to set anything on fire. I'm a journalist, yes, but I'm also a person. I have children. I've navigated difficult things in public view. I know what it's like to have everyone watching when you're struggling. I didn't come here as your adversary. I came as someone who might actually understand parts of what you're going through, if you let me. But you'll still air this. Yes, I'll air it. That's my job. But what gets aired is partly determined by what you give me. If you offer me real conversation, I'll air real conversation. If you give me conflict and defensiveness, that's what people will see. The choice isn't entirely mine. Harry turned back to face her. His eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. I don't know how to do this anymore. Do what? Any of it. The interviews, the public existence, the constant performance of being okay when nothing actually feels okay. pretending I have answers when I don't even understand the questions. For one moment, just one, something real surfaced. The armor dropped. The walls lowered. Savannah saw, briefly, not a defensive prince, but a lost person. Then Harry's eyes flicked to the cameras. The moment shattered. None of what I just said can air. Harry, this is a recorded interview. Everything said is potentially part of it. Those sections need to be removed. I'm asking you as a professional courtesy. That's not how this works. You agreed to a recorded conversation. You understood it would be broadcast. I wasn't prepared for. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to be honest for 30 seconds? Savannah's voice was quiet, but sharp. That's the problem, Harry. The only authentic moment of this entire conversation. And your immediate instinct is to hide it. Harry's vulnerability vanished, replaced by something harder. I'm asking you to remove those sections. And I'm telling you, I don't remove things because sources become embarrassed by their own honesty. That's not journalism, that's PR. Then we have a problem. Savannah closed her notebook, a gesture she had never made mid-interview in 20 years of broadcasting. Harry, I'm going to be honest with you about something before this ends. However it ends. I'm not leaving, you're about to. I've done enough of these to recognize exit energy. So before you go, I want you to hear something. She set the notebook aside completely, giving him her full attention. This could have been different. You could have come here and shown people the real Harry, the exhausted, confused, struggling person I glimpsed for about 45 seconds just now. That person would have connected with millions of viewers who feel exactly the same way. Lost, overwhelmed, unsure how to navigate a world that seems designed to misunderstand them. Instead, you spent almost this entire interview being defensive and hostile. And when the mask finally slipped, when something real emerged, your immediate reaction was to try to stuff it back down and make me promise to hide it. That's my right. It is your right, absolutely. But it's also why you're losing people, Harry. Not because your struggles aren't genuine, they obviously are. But because you won't let anyone actually see them. You perform the role of someone who has struggled, while keeping the actual struggle invisible. You demand understanding while making understanding impossible. You can't have it both ways. Nobody can. She turned to face the camera directly. I think we're done here. Harry remained frozen between walking out and staying, caught in some internal struggle. What you'll see when this airs, Savannah continued, still addressing the camera, isn't what I came here hoping for. I came hoping for a genuine conversation with someone who's clearly going through a great deal. Instead, I got defensiveness, hostility, and brief glimpses of something real that were immediately retracted. What happened here is that two people failed to connect. One of them was trying, and the other was fighting against that connection for reasons I still don't fully understand. She turned back to Harry one final time. I genuinely hope you find whatever you're searching for, but I don't think you're going to find it by treating everyone who reaches toward you as a threat. Some of us actually want to help you tell your story. We just need you to let us. Harry opened his mouth, perhaps to respond, perhaps to apologize, perhaps to attack further. But whatever words he prepared stayed locked behind his teeth. He turned and walked out of the living room, his footsteps echoing on the hardwood until a door closed somewhere deeper in the house. Savannah sat alone in the carefully staged room for a long moment. You can cut, she said finally. Do you want to do a stand-up? Summarize what happened. She shook her head. I think what happened speaks for itself. The interview lasted 16 minutes before Savannah ended it. Its impact would last considerably longer. For Savannah Guthrie, it became a defining professional moment, not because of triumph, but because of transparency. Her willingness to show the failure, to acknowledge when connection proved impossible, earned her new respect from audiences who appreciated the honesty. For Prince Harry, it was another entry in a growing catalog of interviews gone wrong. Another journalist who didn't get it. Another example of media unfairness. But for viewers watching closely, it was something different. A window into a man so defended that genuine connection had become impossible, even when someone extended every possible invitation. Some walls are built for protection. Others become prisons without their builders even noticing. Savannah had tried to reach him, tried with patience honed over 20 years. Harry could not let her in. And by the time the cameras stopped rolling, both of them knew it.